true crime podcast where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
And we're both all fucked up.
It's been a day. Also, allergy season. Holy shit, ragweed.
And listen, it's that time of the month, and I feel like God hates me in particular, which wouldn't surprise me, given my pro-Satan attitude.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Satin.
Yeah. No, I'm a more silk, as far as the petable fabrics are concerned. Or velvet. Ooh. Yeah, that's enough nonsense because this is, this is a complicated month.
This case is fucked up.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
Trigger warning that shit, please.
Trigger warning the fuck out of this case for self-harm. I don't even really, I try not to get into it too much, but just know that that's like an overall trigger on this case. Self-harm, substance abuse, BDSM, descriptions of violence, and post-mortem descriptions, just very slightly, but descriptions of sexual humiliation and sexual assault. So this is the case of Joanna Dennehy, also known as the Peterborough Ditch Murders. Now, this case may or may not fit this theme for this month of female serial killers, technically, but we'll see what you think at the end of this episode.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm torn, so I kind of want to discuss what we think at the end, because she is considered by some to be a spree killer. Some sources say that she's a serial killer, and some sources say that she's somewhere in between. So by definition, a spree killer is someone who commits 2 or more murders in a short period of time, whereas a serial killer kills at least 3 victims and has a cooling off period. So she had 3, almost 5 victims, and it was, we'll talk about it, but it was about 10 days span. So yeah, it's like directly in the middle of what a spree killer and a serial killer would be defined as. Now, because these killings happened within a short span of almost 2 weeks, this killer was caught before she was able to actually have that cooling off period. So therefore, a lot of people think that she can't be classified as a serial killer. But either way, I could not talk about Joanna Dennehy this month because her ruthlessness and her violence is unmatched. Beyond unmatched. She's labeled, quote, one of UK's most frightening killers and is currently Britain's most dangerous female prisoner. Wow. Out of all of them.
Dang.
In my opinion, she was striving to become a serial killer, and had law enforcement not stepped in when they did, she would have definitely become one. Just like our last female serial killer, Lucy Letby, Joanna Dennehy seemed to have a fairly normal, very nice upbringing. She had 2 loving parents who doted on her and her younger sister. She was born in August of 1982 in St. Albans, Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire. Sometimes I always question myself if it's Shire or not at the end.
It's sure.
Her father was a security guard and her mother worked at a supermarket. They did absolutely everything that they could to make sure that their little girls grew up happy, healthy, loved, and well-fed. Joanna got really good grades. She excelled in sports. She had lots of friends growing up. She was very close to her little sister, so close that they even had a secret language that they made up that was very similar to gibberish.
Like fucking Nell? Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, it wasn't a language like that.
Tay in the wind, Miss Chickapay.
I love that movie. I grew up on that movie. But no, I spoke gibberish in high school.
I did too.
All throughout school.
Me and my friends had a weird made-up language.
To the gid, you the goo, to the guk, to the giss.
Not like that because it's dumb. Like I straight up just made the whole thing up.
Oh.
Yeah.
We did that. A lot of people have different variations, and then I know that like a lot of people use Pig Latin as well. So yeah, I don't know what their gibberish was. I'm pretty sure they just made it up.
Tay in the wind.
Girl, pay. So many people who knew her as a child said that she was very lovely. She had piercing bright blue eyes, golden locks, and a big bright smile. Her mother later on said in an interview after the murders, quote, "She was very sensitive. If she stood on a worm or something, she would be really upset if it died. She used to take them to bed with her. So she was a very loving girl. She was very polite to everybody. Teachers always said that she was a nice girl." But everything changed when she turned 13. She began skipping school, doing drugs, drinking, and harming herself, hanging out with older men and boys. Now, this part is like the key turning point in my, like, that sentence right there is exactly what happened to me at 13.
And not me.
Well, because I was sexually assaulted at 13.
Yeah, there you go.
So she would later claim that she was abused by her father, and that she even said that she killed her father because of sexual abuse. But when she said that, her father was alive and well. There's nothing, I mean, there's never any evidence usually of, paternal sexual assault, but there's just no evidence of this. Absolutely none whatsoever. She only told a few people this, like, years and years later on.
Has she been, like...
She is a liar through and through.
Has she been assessed by mental health professionals?
Yes, and we'll go through her diagnosis
because
later.
13 is kind of an age where certain conditions can't, like, certain kinds of psychosis can pop up.
That's true. I do remember
especially
that from
like
some studies.
schizophrenia and other things like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so we don't know for sure if she had actually been sexually assaulted. I'm assuming not by her father, but she may have been sexually assaulted by someone else. Like, that could have totally happened because it was literally like a switch, like night and day. She just became instantly sexually active and with older men.
Yeah, something was going on.
Yeah, definitely. Now, she had heavily started flirting with older men at this point and became increasingly sexually active, and then would start doing acts of self-harm during these sexual acts with older men. And she was extremely manipulative. Clearly, everything is wrong with an older man having sex with a younger girl. But she was manipulating these men into it, and it was in a really gross way all around. She became increasingly violent. She told one of her closest friends at the time that her friend would be better off dead. She said that she could just go ahead and kill herself, saying, quote, "I can help you if you want."
Jesus.
She's so deranged. Her parents tried to get her psychiatric treatment. They tried grounding her. They tried picking her up from school so that way she couldn't get in trouble after school. Her teachers tried to set her straight, but nothing worked. In fact, the more they tried to control her, the more she acted out. When she was 15, she got a star tattoo on her cheek, and shortly after that, she ended up in juvenile detention for burglary. She ran away at 16 with her 21-year-old boyfriend, John Trainer. And, of course, she would end up pregnant soon after that at the age of 17 in 1999. She stayed sober during her pregnancy. She was very adamant that the baby was healthy. But as soon as that baby exited her body, she immediately started drinking and doing drugs and self-harming. She got pregnant again in 2005, and just like the last pregnancy, immediately got sober, clean, healthy, and, went through the whole pregnancy. And then as soon as the baby was out, right back to her old ways. Joanna's relationship with John Trainer lasted about 10 years, and during this time, it was absolute hell for John. Now, I obviously do not see anything correct about their relationship because of the age, but she abused this man in every way during those 10 years. During that time, her anger and violence grew exponentially, especially when she was drunk. She became enraged over the smallest of things and would take it out all on John, while he did his best just to protect the children. She got really into S&M and would host these parties at her house without John's consent or knowing. He would just be in his house, and a whole bunch of people would show up, and they would just start having sex with each other.
My God.
Huge orgies. Like, men, women, all kinds of things were going on. And it was all just to humiliate him. as like a show of what she can do and what he's not going to stop her from doing. She didn't care if he was disgusted or offended. She indulged in his pain. She kept this really big knife on her at all times, which I'll show a photo of it. She wielded it proudly. It was her favorite, and it was like almost like a mini sword. Like, I think it looks really fucking chintzy, but because it's got like, okay, so it's got like this tribal tattoo like design going down the center.
Oh no.
And it's like serrated like very intricately, like almost like flames, and then there's a dragon on the handle.
Okay, that's enough.
And it's huge. Like it's just ridiculously huge. But she would just pull this thing out at any time. She would hold it to her own throat. She would cut herself. She would threaten John. She would stab things with it. One time she even stabbed the floor and was like, I want to fucking kill. And this was just the like kind of daily hell that John lived in for 10 years. All bets were off. He had no way of expecting what was to come next. And with that and with her drinking, fights with John grew more and more intense. She would leave John and the children for weeks at a time until one night she came home after a long stint away with her favorite knife. She pulled it out and she started cutting all over herself in front of John. She just let the blood just flow everywhere, and she made a really big mess and caused a lot of chaos. And she just rivaled in it. She loved it. She loved the shock on his face. And this was the point where he took the children and left and never looked back.
Good.
Absolutely. Now, she didn't care, obviously. She had been arrested numerous times for drug offenses, once for being in possession of a dangerous dog, which I just find strange. Like, where'd you find this dog? In 2012, Joanna was arrested on theft charges. And during this time when she was incarcerated, she underwent psychological testing and was diagnosed with paraphilia sadomasochism, meaning that she got off on inflicting pain and humiliation on others. She was also diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, as well as psychopathic antisocial personality disorder. In an article from The Guardian, it reads, quote, that manifested itself in anger, aggression, impulsivity, and irresponsibility. She did not care about the safety of others, felt no remorse when causing harm. She was very skilled at being a manipulator and a deceiver. So by 2013, she had found lodging in Peterborough. Kevin Lee was her landlord of the complex. His tenants were predominantly low-income people, so he was very used to having to evict people. He was used to rent not being on time. He was used to a lot of those kinds of things. And it was getting to be very stressful the more properties he started to own. And Kevin knew that his tenant, Joanna, was tough as nails. The two had formed a friendship, Joanna loved to flirt and talk and would approach anyone and start a conversation with literally anyone. She was also a sex worker during this time, so that could have been part of her, reasoning behind all of this.
Yeah.
But she would just start a conversation with anyone. He ended up hiring her to help him deliver eviction notices and to kind of rough people up to get their money out.
Jeez.
Yeah. Little did his wife know, or his kids know, the two ended up forming an intimate relationship as well. Kevin Lee was infatuated with Joanna, which it's so bizarre, but whenever you see her talking and she's so charismatic and so vile at the same time, it's very interesting. Every single man that she pulls into her life is literally infatuated with her, completely, wholeheartedly. She can say and do no wrong. And it's very interesting how manipulative she is. He ended up actually letting her live rent-free in multiple apartments and houses. I actually don't know how many. And it was usually if there was a little bit of maintenance that needed to be done. So he would just clear out the apartment and let her have her pick. To some of her female neighbors, she seemed very well-spoken and kind and thoughtful. One neighbor named Michelle said that she loves babies and she was very good with children and actually, quote, quite pleasant and respectful. But the men thought otherwise. Michelle's friend, 56-year-old veteran John Chapman, who lived in the same building, was absolutely terrified of Joanna. He told Michelle on numerous occasions that Joanna said that she'd get rid of him in whatever way she could. And she did.
Yeah.
But not before her first victim. She lured 31-year-old Polish immigrant Lukas Slabazuski.
Very good.
Yes. Sorry. I did practice that beforehand, but it's hard. He had moved to the UK in 2005. His sister had moved there before him, and he kind of followed her for more work opportunities. And since then, he had been kind of just living the single life. He had no kids. He had no partner, just took odd jobs and lived kind of just day to day. He had met Joanna at a pub, and they exchanged numbers. The two had been texting for 2 days back and forth when on March 19th, 2013, Joanna had arranged for them to meet up at one of Kevin Lee's rental properties. Thinking they were going to hook up, Lucas was very excited to see her. And Joanna was also very excited to see him, just for other reasons. Like a lamb to the slaughter, as soon as he was inside, she blindfolded him, acting as if they were going to have sex. And then, out of nowhere, she stabbed him once in the chest. So hard he nearly died instantly.
My God. With no provocation either.
None whatsoever.
Do you think that she had started the texting with him just to kill him?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too.
Absolutely. That was her full intention. And she did later on say that as soon as she stabbed Lucas, she got that bloodlust. You could tell it was building because she had been hurting herself for so long. She wanted to do it to somebody else.
Do you think she was hurting herself as a way to maybe keep herself from hurting others, and she just finally gave in to her urges?
No, I don't think... Because I don't think she would hold herself back from doing anything.
You think it just occurred to her that she could do it to other people?
She was like, this feels so good.
I bet it'd feel better to do it to someone else.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Absolutely. Because she loved the feeling of self-harm, which I do understand that. I did too.
Yeah, I did too.
So trigger warning, I'm very sorry if that does anything. But so I definitely think that there was a connection there, but I don't think she was resisting in any way. She was full on wanting to go with every single urge that her body had. And
I will put up some resources if you are suffering from self-harm.
Absolutely.
I am now, hold on, let me do the math, 25 years from the last time I self-harmed. So,
good.
Yeah,
Good.
Thanks.
I don't remember the math, but it's been over a decade. So
I'm just saying recovery is possible.
Absolutely.
And you can get better, and we're here to support you and love you.
We're here with
you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry about this case, y'all. Like, she's really rough on that stuff. But yeah, so she just stabbed him just once in the chest, and he died pretty much instantly. He did not see it coming, and he probably didn't feel it at all. Like, it kind of just feels like a punch.
Well, I'm glad, because it didn't want him to suffer.
No, he was a really good guy. But somehow she lifted this man's body into a garbage bin and showed a 14-year-old girl who just happened to be standing close by. She was like, "Look what I did. Isn't that great?"
Oh my God.
She was so fucking proud of herself. She was so proud.
She's unhinged.
Girl. And has been for a very long time. I really do think that her first boyfriend was, her first major victim.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, but, intentional victim. So, yeah, after the thrill wore off, she knew she had to do something with this body, and she couldn't just leave it in the garbage bin. So she employed her friend, 7 foot tall, 7 foot 3 inches tall, 47-year-old Gary Stretch Richards.
Gary's taller than me. That doesn't happen very often.
7 foot 3.
Wow.
Yeah. This man is huge. I mean, he's just a very big guy. So, and his nickname was Stretch.
Yeah.
He needed some comedic relief because he did get bullied for his size growing up.
I bet it'd be anything other than the
different.
norm, and you were just going to be eviscerated in school.
It's so ridiculous because being different is so fucking cool.
It's what makes humanity so neat, is all the differences and all the different ways we appear on this plane of existence.
Would you like to see a field of flowers and they all look the same?
No, I want all different kinds, man.
Yeah, that's a garden, dude.
I want all different colors, shapes, sizes, abilities.
Yeah.
I want it all, man.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
And it works better that way.
It does.
The ground is more nutritious.
So quit
that
being
way.
a dick just because someone's different.
Exactly. Yeah, poor Stretch. He was described by friends as a dog without a bite. Joanna was a Rottweiler and Stretch was a poodle. Gary Stretch was known for his size, but not his smarts. Despite towering over everyone, he was actually a very soft person and very easily manipulated, which is probably why Joanna loved him so much. The two met while on parole for various offenses. She realized very quickly that she could utilize him as a bodyguard and a strong arm. She was able to not only convince him to dispose of bodies for her, she was also able to weave this narrative that the two would go down in history like Bonnie and Clyde and like really romanticize these killings, which she had no intention of having a relationship with him whatsoever. She just wove this tapestry of lies for him, and he believed it all. She basically set up a system that allowed her to kill at will, because no matter what she would do, Gary Stretch would just clean up the mess for her. Now, Gary Stretch, like many men before him, would become obviously very infatuated with Joanna and would literally do anything that she said. So when she told him to dispose of this body for her, he didn't question her at all. They dumped Lucas's body in a ditch in the nearby Thorny Dyke. Since he didn't stay in constant contact with his family, Lucas wouldn't be considered missing until later when they found his body.
That's sad.
It's very sad. His sister had no idea. A week after that, on March 29th, 2013, she attacked her neighbor, John Chapman, the one who was absolutely terrified of her. She later said that he had accidentally walked by the bathroom while she was in the bathtub and had glanced in. And when the two made eye contact while she was in the bathtub, in that moment, she decided to kill him. Which I don't know if this is true. I think she had intention of killing him from the get-go, but that's her excuse that she uses. She waited until he was asleep and crept into his room, stabbed him in the neck, severing his carotid artery, and then 5 times in the chest with so much force that one stab wound went straight through his breastbone and punctured his heart. Extreme force.
Wow.
Just hours later, she would strike again. Like, she is literally just bam, 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 one after the other. She lured her lover and landlord, Kevin Lee, to her apartment where she had just killed Lucas. And just as before, as soon as he was inside the door, she acted like the two of them were going to have sex, and Joanna stabbed him to death. Now, with 2 bodies in one day she needed to get rid of, she had to hire another man to help dispose of them.
It's just shocking because
she's literally killing at will.
It's just like something snapped somewhere, and I don't know that she would have ever even slowed down or stopped.
No. And I don't know if it snapped. I think this is something that's been building for a very long time.
Yeah,
because
I guess you're right.
We have no idea the extent of the violence in the sexual acts that she was committing. She was probably bringing a lot of people to near death and really enjoying it. And this was just the natural next step for her. Because you got to remember, that was 10 years of her life that she was building up to this.
Yeah, you're right. It's just almost inconceivable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes I can't hardly even be asked to go to the grocery store. I just can't imagine all the effort. Right. I know that sounds really nuts to me, but like, no, I'm just sitting here thinking about it. And like, have a big dog die on you. It's so terrible. Mm-mm. Like, figuring out what to do. Mm-mm. Like, to dig a hole for like a pet is like...
I do have a quick tiny story in reference to that. I know this woman that is this older woman. She's survived skin cancer. She's survived so many things. She lives out on this big property all by herself. Her name is Miss Judith, and she is a firecracker. And she's lived alone on land for decades. And she had horses, and one of them naturally passed. And this, I don't even know how old woman held a funeral pyre for that horse and had to keep that fire burning, like old school. Like, this is old school shit. Had to keep that fire burning for days and days and days, and mourned her horse, but took care of the fire all by herself. And that, oh my God, is such a strong woman. That's a lot of effort. But not this one. She was not that much effort. She liked the thrill. She liked the kill. She did not like all of the cleanup mess. She didn't like the heavy lifting in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, now with 2 bodies to get rid of, she needed to hire another man. And this was Leslie Layton, who had also lived in the area. Him and Stretch disposed of John Chapman's body in a ditch in Thorny Dyke. And Kevin Lee's body was left in a ditch nearby in Newborough. Kevin, who was a very punctual man, was always home at the same time. He liked his tea and his pajamas and his home comforts. So when he didn't come home that night, his wife was extremely worried. His cell phone was off, which never happened, and she just knew something was wrong. Kevin had told his wife some things about Joanna, of course, leaving out the sexual relationship that they had. But just days before the attack, Kevin had told his wife that Joanna had said that she wanted to kill again. And by again, she meant after having killed her father, which didn't happen. So, but he was one of the people that she killed, or that she had told this story about her father to. So yeah, it had worried him, because he could, conceptualize why she would kill her father. But her saying that she wanted to kill again really set him off. Like he got really, really scared about this. But yeah, so Kevin had seemed worried. His wife is now suspicious. The next day she went with her gut, and she got a list made of all of the vacant properties that he had. She also got a list of his phone records, and one number in particular had, shown up quite a bit with phone calls and text messages. And of course, later on, this phone number would be Joanna's. Now, she started going around to all these vacant houses and properties that he owned and kind of just checking on them. She knew something was up with these properties, because he had a lot that were vacant for maintenance. Right. So one time, she just kept walking by, kept looking, keeping her eye out. And one night she happened to go at night and noticed some lights on.
That's so eerie. It gave me goosebumps.
So she called the police.
Amen, sister.
And she gave them full permission to use force to get into that house, which they did. There was nobody there. But the whole house smelled like bleach.
There you go.
And they did find some remnants of blood in some
Y'all,
places.
there are enzyme cleaners you can use that don't have no bleachy smell. I'm just saying. Why y'all so stupid? It just boggles my mind.
I don't know why people don't just use hydrogen peroxide to get blood out of everything.
Kill somebody outside and then hose it down. I don't know.
So a few days later, on March 30th, a man walking his dog noticed something strange. His dog ran off into a ditch, then back to him, then ran back into the ditch, and then back to his owner again. And his owner was like, this never happens. I gotta see what's in that ditch. Huge trigger warning. What he found there would likely haunt him for the rest of his life. He found a body of a man face down, wearing a black sequins dress, with his nude lower half spread wide open, completely displayed, with a stab wound through the heart. Later, police found that it was Kevin Lee, of course. And then just a little bit after that, they found Kevin Lee's burnt out car just a ways down the road.
My God.
Police immediately started going through his background and line of work. They instinctively traced all cell phone records of the tenants and found that one tenant's phone pinged right around his burning car on the day that it was found, and the same number his wife had seen on his call log, Joanna Dennehy. They were absolutely shocked that it was a woman that could have done this. But then they found another cell phone that pinged in the same spot, Gary Stretch. And to them, this made sense. Of course, the 7-foot tall man was able to hoist a body into a ditch, not the small woman. But I think that they probably also assumed that that very tall man was probably the one that killed, because a lot of people did not believe that this small woman could have done that much damage to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've looked at pictures of her.
She's little.
She is little, but she is
scary.
muscular.
Yeah.
And in addition, her eyes are the coldest, deadest, most unhinged eyes I've ever looked into.
I'm telling you, she is terrifying.
Right up there with Eileen Wuornos's real, like that cold, flinty, snake-like gaze. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever humanity's inside this person is just gone.
It's terrifying.
It really gives me the creeps.
It really does. It's, yeah, she's kind of hard to explain. It's just that intense. So, yeah, police go on to try to find Joanna and Stretch, and they are nowhere to be found. They did find Leslie Layton and were able to question him, but he insisted that he knew nothing about them. But not long into the interrogation, he cracked and ended up telling them everything. He told them that Joanna and Stretch were on the run going west. And with that, the police put out a nationwide alert for the two of them. Now, they were wanted and on the run, and Joanna fucking loved this. Like, this was the thrill of a lifetime. She ate this up. Being on the run from the cops was pretty much everything she wanted at that point. But she couldn't stop killing. The bloodlust was a high that she didn't want to come down from. They drove until there were several towns over, and they stopped at a friend's house for the night. They seemed to be having the absolute time of their lives. They took a bunch of pictures, which I will be posting because, yeah, they are full on celebrating this. And one of them, yeah, she has that like dragon knife with her. So at this point, they have no money on them. They only have things that they had stolen. So Gary Stretch called up one of his friends, Mark Lloyd, who lived in the area, and to try to see if he could help, like, sell these items. Mark invited them over, and as soon as Stretch and Joanna were inside and the door was shut behind them, Joanna pulled out a pocket knife out of her bra and held it to Mark's throat and said something to the effect of, quote, "You know Stretch. He's the taxi driver. He dumps the bodies. I go around killing people. You got that?" Which, to me, is so intense.
Calm down,
it sounds like a B movie. Like,
it really does.
Yeah.
But you know, like, I find like a lot of if you notice, a lot of these killers that are particularly heinous
and high on themselves
are also very edgy like that.
Yeah.
Like, I am the darkness. Like, okay, you win.
Yeah. She's giving toy box killers, like how they talked about themselves. Ugh. So Mark knew, of course, that Joanna would kill him in that moment, for sure. So he made himself useful. He told them that he knew someone in town that would buy their stolen items off of them. They all three got in the car, and Mark said that Joanna would not stop talking about the people she had killed, where they had dumped them, and all of the like minute details of her killings. She was pleading with Gary Stretch, saying over and over and over again, "I want my fun, Gary. I want my fun." She's just so much. I'm sorry, it's not something I should be laughing at because she's talking about murder.
Well, I mean, okay, so there's a thing. It's a pretty common phenomenon called paradoxical laughter. It's where
you're uncomfortable.
Neurodivergent people, when they are uncomfortable, will sometimes laugh at inappropriate times. It's very common with autism and ADHD.
I am both.
And though I have not been diagnosed with anything but ADHD, I highly suspect I'm autistic too, and I laugh inappropriately all the time. But for me, it's a way to relieve tension or stress.
It's like a nervous laughter. It comes from my chest.
I'm like, it's because I'm fucked up. I'm freaking out. Like,
I want my fun, Gary. Like, she's like pissed off that she can't kill over and over and over
I was just researching another case that is so... I can't talk about it right now, but they shared the text messages between two child predators, and I'm still like fucked up over it. But it's that kind of sick shit.
Yeah.
They were saying sick shit like that.
Yeah.
And I caught myself like laughing while I was listening. I don't find it funny. I find it fucking horrifying and sad and scary.
But it's like, it's a body reaction.
My whole body just recoils from this shit. And sometimes a little levity is all we have to make it through it. Because y'all, we're researching this shit. We're reading it.
And it's rough too, especially with all of her self-harm stuff that I had to read about. Like,
that's hard because we both used to self-harm when we were young. And
I went through all of that as a teenager as a retaliation to what I had gone through.
Yeah.
And I did that shit too.
Self-harm, I have found, and this is when she says she was assaulted by her father, I'm not sure I buy it. Because
but I do think that she was assaulted.
Somebody assaulted her because this is self-harm is so common in teens who have been assaulted as children.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's not partly anecdotal, but I just Googled it too.
It's not a blanket statement for all that harm, but it is very common.
Yeah,
it
always is going to stem from some sort of trauma, but it just is very
because that's a trauma release.
And then you have her sexually acting out too at such a young age. Yeah, that was the big red flag for me.
And cutting herself while sexual acts are going on. Yeah,
and it's hard to have empathy for this person because she's just
so vile.
Foul,
and
depraved. But I think there's a lot about her past that we don't know.
She's known to be like very like aggressive,
histrionic.
To like overpower men is her main thing. She wants to be like the manliest one.
Somebody hurt her. Yeah, somebody hurt her. Yeah, definitely. And so I have empathy for little Joanna.
Little Joanna.
I do.
Absolutely.
I feel sorry for no child should ever be hurt that way. And if she was suffering from some kind of psychosis, of course I have empathy. But this is just gross, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially people that develop those types of personality disorders that end up harming. Not all of them, but the ones that do end up harming know what they're doing. I kind of just wanted to make that clear because it's not like various other types of mental disorders where you don't understand what you're doing or you don't understand like the implications or what have you. No, she knew what she was doing. She just didn't care. So that's what the psychologists have said about her. So at this point, it had been 4 days since Joanna had killed, and to her, that was 4 days too many. When they got to town, they realized that they needed cigarettes, so they went to a convenience store. The CCTV footage shows them walking in, talking and laughing and being very cordial to the clerk. Joanna even at one point like commented on her butt and was like, "Wow, you have a great butt." But Joanna comes up behind Mark with a smile and puts her arm around him for a hug. Nothing in the CCTV footage shows any sign of danger whatsoever. But what no one realized is in that moment when she came up from behind him for that hug, with one hand around his front, the other hand was pointing a knife to his back. She whispered in his ear, "Get the cigarettes, Mark," and continued chatting with the person at the counter.
Ew, God.
They left.
That gave me the chills.
I know.
Girl.
I know. Makes me want to puke. I don't want. They ended up leaving the store and literally had driven a few seconds. It wasn't even a full minute before Joanna motioned for Gary Stretch to stop the car. She got out with her knife and stabbed a man who just happened to be casually walking his dog. Just out of nowhere.
The fuck?
His name was John Rogers, and thankfully he survived the 2 stab wounds, one to his chest and one to his shoulder, barely missing his heart.
Because, listen, she was good at aiming for that.
I'm telling you.
And the force.
Yes.
Because, your heart's protected by your sternum.
Yes.
I can't imagine how painful that. I know it was quick, but it still would have been painful.
But can you imagine just walking your dog and out of nowhere, a crazy bitch just like jumps out of a car and stabs you?
I can't.
What the fuck, dude? Well, and not just that, okay? She got back in the car. They drove a short ways. She saw another man walking his dog.
No.
She jumped out and she stabbed a man named Robin Bariza 40 fucking times. After she stabbed him 40 fucking times right there in broad daylight while he's walking his dog, she stole the dog. Sorry for yelling.
No. I'm speechless. That's the most horrific.
Do you see why I had to cover this case?
It's just the most horrific shit I've ever heard.
I know. It's just, I never thought I'd be saying these words.
Almost full 2 years of doing this that I just would not be surprised
you would
anymore.
think.
But I am surprised.
I'm very shocked by this case.
I don't know why I'm so offended that she stole the
fucking dog. The dog got back to the owner. The owner survived. 40 stab wounds.
Thank you for, because I was about to like break down. Because I just put myself in his shoes with my little bunny.
Yes.
And unhand
because it was a small
hound.
dog. It was a small dog. It was in her lap.
Unhand my hound, you evil bitch.
40 fucking times. You know how long it would take?
I can't.
Beat your chest.
No.
Beat your chest 40 times.
I'm not doing that. That's gross.
I'm sorry. But like, yeah, that happened. And thankfully, paramedics arrived at the scene just in time to save his life. I don't know how he survived, but he did. And both of them were able to testify at the trial. So that was good. Later, she said that she was specifically targeting men during her killing spree. Absolutely no women or children because she was a mother, but killing men was amusing to her. And for some reason, she preferred killing men with dogs. I don't know why, but she said that. Police were soon able to track down their vehicle. Stretch tried to make a run for it, but due to his size, he was much slower than the cops. They caught him pretty quickly. Joanna thought it was absolutely amusing the entire time. She flirted with the officers. There's a video of her flirting and laughing during her booking, and it's just disgusting. Like, it makes you sick to your stomach because she's like laughing about the murders and like flirting with them. And you can see how manipulative she is. And her tone of voice, you could see how she could be nice. She had a very eloquent way of talking. She was very intelligent. Now, while she was in jail awaiting trial, the police confiscated her diary. Inside was an escape plot that involved cutting off a guard's finger to use it for the fingerprint unlock.
My God.
Yeah. So she was put into solitary confinement for 2 years after until the court proceedings.
Is she in Petersboro?
I believe so. She's been changed around.
Yeah, that's where she is right now. That's where Letby is.
I know. I can do that later.
Oh, sorry. I was just excited.
Yes. So
Our case is kissing. That's all.
I know. That's it was one of my favorite things about this case is just that it went with yours because I didn't know about your case. And then, yeah.
I'm the peanut butter and you're the jelly.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So she pled guilty to all charges and was sentenced to life in prison. And the judge ordered that she never be released due to her, quote, premeditation and lack of normal range of human emotions. Joanna Dennehy became the third of now 4 women in the UK given the full life tariff, next to Myra Henley, who died in, I believe, 2002, Rose West, and now Lucy Letby. Speaking out about Joanna in a documentary which aired on Crime and Investigation Channel, her mother, Kathleen, said, quote, "The girl that killed those people is not my daughter. My daughter is that nice 16-year-old that never came home." She talked about what a sweet little girl she was and added, quote, "When I saw the footage of Jo, it was like somebody I didn't know. She's standing there being charged, smiling and laughing. That's not the kind, loving Jo that was our baby. To me, she doesn't exist anymore. I don't ever want her to come out of jail. The world's safer without Joanna in it." And it's just so chilling as a mother to have that realization for her.
Yeah.
To know that her baby girl is gone.
Yeah.
Her baby girl's been gone a long time.
It would be so sad. I don't know.
Because it's nothing that she could have done. I mean, she tried her best. She did everything she could. It's not like she abused the girl that we know of, you know? Like, for all we know, she was a great mother and loved her daughter as best as she could. And it just breaks my heart for her to have to come to that realization that your daughter turned into a monster. And I know that we hate to use that word, but this one feels like it.
Something went terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Terribly, terribly wrong.
In prison, she fell in love with her cellmate, Haley Palmer, which I know I researched her case. I didn't right before coming over here because I forgot. But I remember seeing her face and, she was released recently. She tried to marry her in 2018, but Haley's family worried that Joanna would put her in some sort of danger, which I don't know why this affected their marriage. But for some reason it did. They didn't end up getting married, and they were completely heartbroken over their parents' like distrust in her. That later that year, the two tried to commit suicide together, but failed. like a Romeo and Juliet, but like in jail. Yeah, they ended up splitting up, and for a little bit, Joanna ended up dating another inmate, but her and Haley got back together in 2021, and apparently are still together even to this day. Haley was recently released. That's why I remember her name, because I saw it in the paper. But yeah, apparently they still intend on getting married, and even though Joanna still writes to men all the time, somehow trying to lure them in so she could kill them somehow. I don't know how.
From jail?
Yeah. She's just really fixated on killing men.
I don't know how you could reconcile with yourself, no matter how charming someone was, that if they're just killing people and still want to, that you'd want to be with them.
Yep.
Because I'm out on that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Bit of a red flag.
Yeah. In 2019, she was transferred to Newton Prison, where Rose West was held. It's reported that Joanna threatened to kill Rose West so much that she was so fearful of her life that she was transferred to another prison for her own safety. Rose West was scared for her life.
That piece of shit.
And Rose West was upset about being transferred because the new prison didn't have ovens for her to bake in.
Whoa, he did not have any ovens for you to make any cookies. You fuck. There are a few people on this earth. She's, for me, right up there with Carla Homolka.
I've been thinking about Carla Homolka this entire case. Not that the two are similar in many ways.
Kinda.
But kinda. Yeah.
Just a complete no scrap of humanity left inside of your evil, cold brain.
And just sexually driven and ruthless.
Yeah, ruthlessness of it all.
Ruthless.
Ugh,
no heart.
I can't. I gotta think like happy thoughts about puppies and kittens and
I know,
stuff.
it was a lot.
It was a lot,
dude.
It's really intense.
Yeah.
I think she's both. You know,
See?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
While I was
wanted to get your opinion on this.
So I think she's both. I think she's both a spree and serial killer. But
Same.
the thing is with spree killers, it's unknown if they'd keep going because they're stopped.
Right. I
think she'd have kept going.
Unless the spree killer, just stopped and then there was like a long period of time before they got caught. There are some of them.
Very few, but
very
some,
few.
yes.
So a lot of spree killers are only spree killers because law enforcement did their job really well. So, you know what I mean? So if they were not stopped.
I kind of feel like they give no fucks. They're like, I'm just going to kill people until I go out in a blaze of glory.
Yes.
And I don't think that was her thing. I don't think she wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. I think she just wanted to kill people.
She did. There was like a certain...
So much rage.
I got different numbers from different sources, so I don't know which one, but there was like a certain number she wanted to reach, and she really like idolized Bonnie and Clyde for some reason, and that poor guy Gary Stretch really did believe that they were gonna be, something great in history.
Gary,
I know. There's no telling what his psychology is.
Look, if you're an adult and somebody can talk you into killing somebody else or helping, I don't got much sympathy for you. I don't care how manipulative they are.
No, I do question his psychology. I do.
He seems a little simple or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he was a victim as well. I don't think he did good things by any means, but I think he was one of her victims.
You can be a victim and a perpetrator at the same time, and I think a lot of people fail to realize that, and why they get up my ass when I try and have empathy for murderers.
That's what I meant about, her first boyfriend being 21 when she was 16. He was both a perpetrator and a victim, right?
Yes. I mean, we also have to address the clear societal push and the misogyny involved in these older men getting with girls. Because it's not, don't at me, it's not pedophilia. It's called hebephilia. Yes, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Still inappropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't believe someone that young can consent. I don't think they have the brain power to do it or the development. But to call them a pedophile, call a 21-year-old who sleeps with a 16-year-old a pedophile is a bit of a stretch to me. I'm just going to be honest. Boy, they're both not developed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And while I'm not about it, and if my 16-year-old tried to tell me, like, I got a 21-year-old girlfriend, some heads rolling somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
That isn't going to happen because John's awkward, but,
Exactly. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify that bit because
I always like to try and clarify myself because sometimes I don't. I'm a big like hair trigger talker. Like I don't think before some things fly out of my mouth, and I'm always going to say how I feel and talk from the heart. But I want to be clear when I say I try and have empathy for murderers. I think it's because it's the only way we'll ever stop this shit from happening.
Right.
And it's the only way we'll ever understand. It's not a good headspace to be in. It's not something I want, but it's something I'm trying to do so I can understand. Because I really feel like if we spent more time understanding in an empathetic way, I think we could figure these things out a little bit.
And we could catch them sooner before it happens.
Because a lot of these people that we've talked about on this podcast need help.
Yes.
They need help.
Yes.
The Vampire Sacramento always pops into my mind. I don't know how you couldn't feel sorry for that guy.
A very, very ill person.
And yeah, he did fucked up shit.
But he needed a hospital. Before he did those fucked up things.
He was tortured.
The people that did not help him
are culpable in my opinion.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, and I definitely think that it's really hard to be a completely sane human being and do these things that we talk about on this podcast.
I don't know how any of all of them got to have something wrong with them because even a crime of passion, I can't imagine. Okay, I can't imagine.
That could be PTSD. That could be
whole variety.
That could be a whole bunch of different things.
You know what else has variety? Business time. Oh, that was a better one this time.
I give it a C+. It passes.
You go fuck yourself. You think of in real time a good segue.
Oh no, I will never. I'm not good
it's
at
not
it.
happening.
No.
All right, here's our business time for today. I don't feel good, so I'm keeping it real short. We have a Patreon. We have weekly bonus episode. We try to do 3 to 4 a month. Usually it's 4. But shit happens, and we record a lot.
We're humans.
We also do, and that's the tea. That's kind of a post-episode discussion and kind of little life updates. We have a tier for everybody. We put out so much content. It would be really awesome if you could go support us right now because times are tough for both me and Willow.
Yeah, and the Patreon is helping quite a bit.
Yes, it is. It's still paying for equipment, but that's almost
paid
over.
Off. Y'all, all of our equipment's almost paid off, and our next season is coming up here pretty soon.
So exciting.
We're almost to 300 episodes. Like, I feel like we're hitting milestones right now, and I'm really, really excited, and it's all y'all's fault.
Yes, and Willow still needs to give me the names for the drawing for our Patreon contest. I'm just saying that to shame you.
Up. Yep.
Because that'll put pressure on you, and then you won't forget. Because when I think to remind you, I forget to remind you.
Right. So now, like, a few thousand people can remind me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
the idea.
guys.
Yeah.
No, but I need to. It's just having a toddler that is toddlery.
And you're going through life shit
Sitting
right
at
now.
a computer is very hard to have the two of them happening. So.
Yes, and you have life shit going on right now.
Yeah, girl, I do.
Yeah, I do too. So my car broke down. It's a catalytic converter, and it's the front manifold catalytic converter. And the shop quoted me $1,200 this morning.
That almost made me puke.
I immediately started crying, but I already purchased the part. So the part's on its way. It didn't cost anywhere near that. And I have the repair covered. So I'm covered. I'm good. But
that took all.
Now I have nothing. I have like no grocery money. I have no bill money. I've spent $500 on the repair. It's half than what it was going to be. But I could use some assistance. So if you want to get a tarot reading, I'm going to extend my little sale I've been doing where Maris will paint you an 8x10 star chart, which will depict how the stars look on a special date. This can be in the future even. It can be a wedding date. It can be anniversary, birthday, whatever day is special to you. He'll paint the constellations and positions of the stars in kind of an old-timey way. You can see examples on his Instagram. And I'll give you a full 10-card spread tarot card reading plus my write-up and interpretation of the reading, all for $45. Cannot beat that. It makes a beautiful gift. Mm-hmm. The reading can be for someone else too. It doesn't have to be for you. So like if you want to gift a reading to someone, I'm doing my full 10-card spread readings for $20 right now.
Yeah, and it's a new moon in Virgo.
That's my time, bitch.
And there's 7 planets in retrograde.
Mercury's almost out of retrograde.
Yes,
though.
but everybody is going through it. So I know we all have either ourselves or someone in our lives lives that are going through hard times.
Me and Willow.
A reading is really helpful.
Grounding.
It helps me a lot. She reads for me to help me get through stuff, and it just allows you to have a little bit more clarity and reassurance. It's usually, the cards usually say what you're thinking, you know.
It pulls, like, to me, it kind of is like this weird connection. Now we have a connection, and I'm going to pull, and it's going to be drawing from your subconscious, like almost guiding my hand.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get into the deepness of it all.
Right. But
And
I've never...
sometimes the cards won't resonate, the reading won't resonate, but it will next month.
Oh.
I've had that happen several times.
I haven't had that happen. But every time you've ever read me, it's like everything I know. It's like, I know, you're right. I know, you're right. You right. Okay, I got this.
I will read you to filth.
It's what you need to hear.
It is what you need to hear. And listen, even if the cards are mean, like I pulled the Tower and the Devil and Death.
That's like last month.
And the Hangman reversed.
Yeah.
And the three of Swords. Even if I pull all of those, I could put a positive spin on this. And this is going to be an uplifting
figure it
time.
out.
Yeah.
We can figure it out. Everything. This is what I have on my board in my little office that I made in my walk-in closet. Everything is figure outable.
That's right.
That is my mantra right now.
It's true. And I do other styles of readings too. So if you have a specific concern or question, like relationship, career, health, any of that stuff, please get in touch with me. It can even involving like loved ones on the other side. I can help out. Let's get something going. My rates are dirt cheap because, desperation and poor. Also, I'll be putting me and Willow's like apps and GoFundMe's in the description because we hurting, y'all.
I'm going through a lot.
Yeah, like I'm making Willow dinner she really wouldn't eat.
Yeah,
because that's how rough we are right now.
Yeah. I'm also not in the mental state of putting food together.
No,
can't do that.
No, we're a wreck. Yeah. But we love you guys, and we're so excited to be creating this content for you.
Seriously, this podcast is my silver lining.
It is my rock. When everything else is fucking up, I can depend on this as a positive influence in my life.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
So everything could be in retrograde. My butthole could be in retrograde, okay?
But we wouldn't be here without y'all.
No.
So pat yourself on the back for listening to this entire
and
episode
if you're new,
to this point.
if you're new,
hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Also, I'm sorry. This is just the way I was born.
Yeah.
I can't be any other way.
Join our Discord so you guys can get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh, we've been having so much fun on Discord lately.
Today's Alicia's birthday.
It is. Hi, Alicia, one of our fans
so
on
much.
Discord. I can't even call her a fan. She's a friend.
Basically a sister by now.
I do call her sister, yeah.
Yeah.
She's just a sweet as sugar. So, like, everyone in the Discord is so friendly and so nice. It's so uplifting and so positive. So if you need a place to blow off some steam.
If you don't feel like you have friends or you need some community, just go there.
We got you. Like, even when we're not there, that place is bumping. So come and chill. Anyway, if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, thank you so much. And we appreciate you truly. We really do. I don't want to cry. I'm on my period. So I'm going to say goodbye and good night.
Bye.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.